The galaxy had long forgotten Earth. It was a world that once thrived with mighty warriors, fierce fleets, and legends that spanned across the stars. But now, Earth was nothing more than a memory, an ancient, irrelevant world that had no place in the vast empire of the Galactic Council. To the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, humans were nothing more than primitive creatures clinging to a dying world. Yet they had no idea just how wrong they were. Alex Rutherford had always dreamed of exploring the stars. As a young captain in the interstellar fleet, his ambition had driven him to the furthest reaches of known space. One fateful day, however, a freak accident sent him and his crew off course, far from any known galaxy or trade route. Their ship, the Ascendant, was thrown into a deep, uncharted region of space. With engines failing and communication systems down, they were left with no choice but to land on a nearby planet for repairs. The planet, although uninhabited, seemed oddly familiar to Alex, as though it was hiding secrets. The environment was harsh, with strange storms and desolate landscapes, but something about it called to him. As he ventured further from his damaged ship, he found signs of something ancient, ruins scattered across the barren land, covered in strange markings that he couldn't decipher. It was clear that this place wasn't ordinary. The closer he got to the heart of the planet, the more he could feel it, a presence, deep beneath the surface, waiting. Alex's crew was cautious, unsure of what they had stumbled upon. But Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of discovering something monumental. One day, while exploring a hidden valley, he found it. Buried beneath the earth, there was a massive structure, half covered in dirt and stone. It looked ancient, older than any civilization he had ever encountered. The architecture was unlike anything from known species, sharp, angular, and powerful. The symbols on its surface matched the ones he had seen in the ruins scattered across the planet. The structure pulsed with an energy that seemed to call out to him. It was as though it had been waiting for centuries, perhaps millennia, for someone to awaken it. His curiosity got the better of him, and Alex made the decision to enter. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with the hum of dormant technology. The walls seemed to whisper, and as Alex moved further into the structure, he noticed a chamber at the center. It was large, circular, and at the heart of it sat a strange device, a crystalline core surrounded by what looked like intricate machinery. Alex knew he had found something extraordinary. The device wasn't like any tech he had ever seen. It seemed to be alive, its surface shifting, as if responding to his presence. Unable to resist, Alex approached the core and, without thinking, placed his hand on its surface. The moment he did, the device activated. The ground shook, and a blinding light filled the chamber. Alex staggered back, his heart racing. The device had triggered something powerful. It wasn't just a relic, it was a weapon. The ship's AI, Kara, crackled to life, warning Alex that the system had detected a massive energy surge coming from the planet. She couldn't pinpoint the source, but the readings were unlike anything she had ever processed. As Alex stood there, still trying to comprehend what had just happened, he felt a deep rumble beneath his feet. It was as if the entire planet had awoken. Suddenly, the ground cracked open, revealing hidden bunkers and weapons caches buried for eons. Metallic structures began to rise from the earth, like titans stretching after a long slumber. Alex's breath caught in his throat as he realized what he had unleashed. Earth's ancient war machines. These weren't just weapons, they were living machines, imbued with the power of warriors long forgotten by the galaxy. The technology was beyond anything he could have imagined. The galaxy had no idea what it was about to face. Back on the Ascendant, Alex rushed to his crew, his mind racing. Kara's voice echoed in his mind as she processed the data. Earth's forgotten war gods were awakening, and they were no longer content to stay hidden. In the distance, the first of the ancient war machines powered up, its massive form towering over the landscape, ready for battle. The galaxy had no idea that the legends of Earth's warriors, the ones they had mocked and forgotten, were not mere stories. They were real. And soon, the galaxy would learn that the gods of war had returned. As Alex stared at the horizon, a sense of dread washed over him. The peaceful galaxy would never be the same. Humanity's power had been dormant for centuries, but now, it was ready to be unleashed. The peaceful civilizations had no idea what they had just woken up, and soon, they would regret underestimating the might of Earth's forgotten warriors. Alex sat in the cockpit of the Ascendant, staring out at the vast, empty space before him. The planet they had discovered, its jagged surface, the strange energy pulses emanating from deep beneath, was a mystery, but it felt like more than just an unknown world. Something about it gnawed at him, something ancient, something dangerous. Kara, the ship's AI, was scanning the area for any sign of life, but the planet appeared barren. Still, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. His crew, a mix of experienced explorers and engineers, were equally uneasy. Some thought they should leave the planet, write it off as a lost cause, and head back to civilization. Others, like Alex, felt there was more to this place than met the eye. The decision to investigate the strange ruins they had found was a unanimous one, though not everyone agreed it was the best idea. With the ship's systems running on low power, Alex led his team toward the valley where the ruins had been discovered. It wasn't easy to navigate through the harsh terrain, but the promise of something extraordinary kept them moving forward. After hours of walking, they finally reached the site. The ruins were massive, their structures towering above them like the remnants of a forgotten empire. Alex's heart raced as he looked up at the symbols carved into the stone walls. They didn't belong to any known civilization, not even the most advanced races he had encountered. The carvings told a story, but its meaning was lost. He felt as if the past, long buried and forgotten, was whispering to him, urging him to continue. He stepped forward, his boots crunching on the dry ground. The team spent the next several hours exploring the site, finding only more clues to the civilization that had once lived there. But it was when Alex stumbled upon a hidden passage beneath a large stone pillar that everything changed. The tunnel, narrow and winding, seemed to lead deep beneath the surface. It was unlike anything they had encountered before, a forgotten pathway, possibly leading to something of immense importance. As they ventured deeper, the air grew thick with an unsettling hum, vibrating through the walls. It was faint at first, but soon it was impossible to ignore. Kara, ever watchful, noted the increasing levels of electromagnetic activity. Something was wrong. The passage opened into a vast chamber, its walls lined with strange metallic structures, like ancient machinery, long dormant. At the center of the room stood a massive crystalline core, glowing softly, casting an eerie light across the chamber. It looked alive, its surface shifting as if reacting to their presence. The air in the room was charged with energy. Alex felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up as he approached the core. His breath came quicker, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't know what it was, but he knew it was important. He reached out a hand, his fingers grazing the smooth surface of the crystal. The moment he touched it, a pulse of energy surged through the chamber, and the ground beneath them trembled violently. "Captain," one of his crew members shouted, panic evident in his voice. The walls began to shake as if the entire planet was alive, shifting in response to what Alex had triggered. Kara's voice crackled through the comms, her usual calm demeanor replaced by urgency. "Warning, Captain. Energy levels are spiking. The core is activating. This is not just a machine, it's a weapon." Alex's mind raced. A weapon. The legends of Earth's past had spoken of incredible technology, of powerful machines and weapons capable of unimaginable destruction. But he never imagined they would find something like this. The core began to glow brighter, and the floor beneath them cracked, revealing more of the ancient machinery buried deep within the planet. Suddenly, a deep rumble echoed through the chamber, and the machinery started to power up. Massive metal structures, buried for centuries, began to rise from the ground, their forms towering over the crew. These weren't just machines. They were colossal, war-ready creations, their designs alien yet somehow familiar. They hummed with energy, the sound deafening as they activated, their weapons systems coming online. Alex stepped back in shock. These machines, they were Earth's forgotten war gods. The stories, the myths of Earth's past, of warriors who ruled the stars, who had fought in wars across the galaxy, were not just legends. They were real, and they had been waiting here, hidden, dormant for centuries. "We need to leave now," Alex ordered, his voice shaking with a mix of awe and fear. But it was too late. The machines had already begun to move, their massive forms shifting and reassembling as they prepared for something. Alex didn't know what, but he could feel the power radiating from them. They weren't just machines, they were weapons, designed for a war the galaxy had long since forgotten. As the crew scrambled to make their way back to the ship, Alex's mind raced. What had he awakened? And what did it mean for Earth and the galaxy? He couldn't help but wonder if the galaxy's dismissive view of Earth was about to change. If these weapons had been buried for so long, then they had to be more than just relics. They were Earth's legacy, a legacy of war that no one had expected to see again. With the machines awakening and the planet rumbling beneath their feet, Alex knew one thing for certain. The galaxy had no idea what they had just unleashed, and Earth, long forgotten, was about to remind them of what they had once been. The rumble of the planet beneath their feet intensified, sending cracks through the walls of the chamber. Alex's heart raced as the massive war machines, ancient relics of a forgotten time, began to shift and stir. The air grew thick with energy, an almost palpable presence in the room. His crew, equally stunned and terrified, scrambled to gather their bearings, knowing that they were no longer in control. The dormant titans of war had awoken, and there was no telling what they would do next. Kara's voice, usually calm and methodical, crackled in Alex's ear. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures. These machines, they're not just relics. They're actively preparing for something. I can't pinpoint what, but they're armed. They were designed for war." Alex stood frozen, his mind spinning. He had known something was off about this planet, something buried deep beneath the surface. But nothing could have prepared him for the sheer magnitude of what they had uncovered. These machines were no ordinary artifacts. They were weapons of war, built to carry out missions of unimaginable destruction. And they had been waiting, dormant for centuries, until now. "Get to the ship now," Alex shouted, his voice urgent. His crew, now fully aware of the gravity of the situation, wasted no time. They turned and bolted for the entrance of the chamber, their footsteps echoing as they scrambled to escape the rising tension. The ground trembled beneath them, as though the very planet itself was awakening from a long slumber. But as they ran, Alex couldn't help but glance back at the massive machines, which were slowly coming to life. Their once still forms were now humming with energy, their metallic surfaces gleaming in the dim light. They were colossal, each one towering over the crew, their sleek, angular bodies a testament to an ancient power. The machines had been designed for one thing: war. Alex's mind raced as he thought about the legends of Earth, the stories of a time when humans had been mighty, feared across the galaxy for their strength and courage. Those tales had faded into obscurity, dismissed by the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. The galaxy had long since forgotten Earth's warriors, believing them to be nothing more than myths. But Alex now understood the truth. Earth had once been home to gods of war, and those gods had never truly left. His heart pounded as he ran faster, his crew right behind him. But the rumbling underfoot intensified, and Alex could feel the presence of something more, something larger. As they neared the entrance of the cavern, a terrifying roar echoed through the planet's surface. The ground cracked, and massive metal tendrils shot up from the depths, surrounding the crew and blocking their path. They were trapped. "We need to move," Alex barked, pulling his crew away from the encroaching tendrils. Head for the ship now. They turned, bolting for the ship, but the ground kept shaking, and the once barren planet seemed to come alive with the power of the ancient war machines. The planet wasn't just a place. It was a weapon, a sleeping giant, and Alex realized with chilling clarity that they had triggered something far greater than they had ever imagined. The machines were no longer merely relics of the past. They were now active, ready to fulfill their purpose. And that purpose was war. As the crew neared the Ascendant, Kara's voice once again cut through the chaos. "Captain, the energy readings are off the charts. These machines are not just going to destroy us. They're preparing for a galactic-scale assault." Alex's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Kara's response came through, more urgent than ever. "They were built to wage war across the stars. These aren't just weapons of mass destruction. They're designed to conquer and annihilate entire civilizations." A wave of dread washed over Alex as he sprinted towards the ship, his mind grappling with the implications of Kara's words. These machines, these war gods of Earth, weren't just relics of a bygone era. They were weapons meant for something far greater than their creators could have imagined. And the galaxy was about to learn just how deadly humanity's legacy could be. By the time the crew reached the Ascendant, the ground had stopped shaking. But Alex knew that it was only a brief respite. The machines were still up there, still awakening, preparing for something terrible. As he rushed to get the ship's systems online, Kara's voice echoed again, the fear in her tone unmistakable. "Captain, I'm detecting ships, several of them, coming in from the outer systems. They're not human. It looks like the galactic fleet is responding." Alex froze. The galaxy had already taken notice, and they had no idea what they were about to face. Earth's forgotten war gods were waking up, and humanity was about to remind the galaxy of what it had once been. The crew scrambled to their stations, knowing that they had no choice but to face the oncoming storm. Alex looked out through the viewport, seeing the distant stars, the glimmers of the approaching fleet. He had always dreamed of exploring the galaxy, but now, the galaxy was about to experience something it had not seen in millennia: humanity's wrath. As the Ascendant lifted off from the planet's surface, Alex's thoughts raced. The galaxy had long forgotten humanity. It had underestimated Earth's past, its warriors, its gods. But now, the time had come. The galaxy would learn the truth. The forgotten war gods of Earth were ready to rise, and they would not be ignored any longer. The stars outside the viewport twinkled like distant, indifferent eyes as the Ascendant shot through the cold expanse of space. Inside, the crew worked in tense silence, knowing they had triggered something that could tear the galaxy apart. The hum of the ship's engines was steady, but it didn't mask the undercurrent of unease that pulsed through every corner of the vessel. The crew had only just escaped the planet, but the memory of the ancient war machines and the horrors they had awakened haunted them. Alex sat in the captain's chair, his mind heavy with the weight of their discovery. The galaxy had always underestimated Earth, dismissing humanity as a young species with little to offer beyond their sheer numbers. They had no idea what was buried deep within their history, no idea about the war gods that once ruled the stars. Kara's voice crackled through the ship's comms. "Captain, we've received a communication. It's from the Galactic Fleet. They want to know what happened down there." Alex's stomach churned. He could feel the galaxy's gaze turning toward them. They had no choice but to answer. "Put it through," he said, his voice steady despite the rising panic inside him. The screen flickered to life, revealing a figure cloaked in dark, sleek armor. The insignia on his chest marked him as a high-ranking officer in the Galactic Fleet. His face was stern, emotionless, exactly what Alex had expected from a race that had never taken Earth seriously. "I am Commander Veller of the Galactic Defense Fleet." The officer's voice boomed through the speaker. "Explain yourselves. What have you uncovered on that planet?" Alex took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing thoughts. He knew that this wasn't just about them anymore. This was about every civilization in the galaxy and the power that Earth had just unlocked. We uncovered an ancient network of weapons, Alex said, his voice firm. Machines built for war, built by humans long before we ever reached the stars. And they're awake. There was a long pause on the other end, and Alex could see the commander's brow furrow. Clearly, the news was not what they had expected. Weapons of war. You're telling me that humanity had this kind of power and didn't use it? It's not what you think, Alex continued, trying to keep his tone controlled. We didn't even know they existed. They were buried deep beneath the planet's surface, waiting. And now they've activated. They're preparing for something, but we don't know what yet. Commander Veller's eyes narrowed, and Alex could feel the weight of the commander's scrutiny. Do you realize the implications of what you've just set into motion? These weapons could destroy everything in their path. The entire galaxy could be at risk. I'm aware, Alex said, his voice tightening. That's why we need your help. Another long pause followed. Then Viller spoke, his voice cold. We'll take you to a secure station. We need to contain this before it spirals out of control. Before Alex could respond, the comms were cut. The silence that followed was suffocating. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, none of them knowing what to expect next. But one thing was certain. The galaxy had never seen anything like Earth's forgotten war gods, and it wasn't going to be happy about what they had just awoken. All hands, prepare for hyperspace jump, Alex ordered, his voice sharp, cutting through the tense air. He knew they had to act fast, or they would be the ones caught in the crossfire of something far bigger than themselves. The galactic fleet would be coming, and they wouldn't be happy. The war gods of Earth, however, were ready. They had been lying dormant for centuries, waiting for someone to reignite their wrath. And now, they had been awakened. The countdown to hyperspace jump began, and the ship's crew braced themselves. Kara's voice, once calm and logical, now trembled slightly through the comms. Captain, incoming fleet. At least 50 ships, closing in fast. Alex's grip tightened on the armrest of his chair. 50 ships. The galactic fleet was already on its way, and Alex knew they wouldn't be prepared for what was coming. Set a course for the rendezvous point, Alex ordered, doing his best to keep his voice steady. He needed to stay calm for his crew. But we'll need more than just a ship to stop what's coming. We need to find a way to shut down the machines, or we're all dead. The ship lurched into hyperspace, leaving the planet, and the ancient war machines behind. But Alex couldn't shake the feeling that the danger was far from over. The galaxy was about to find out exactly what Earth had hidden for centuries. And when the war gods of old rose once more, no one would be safe. As they sped through hyperspace, Alex's mind raced. How could they possibly stop the machines? How could they face a galaxy that had no idea what it was about to face? And more importantly, how could they survive the wrath of a forgotten Earth, once mighty, now forgotten, but ready to rise again? The silence of hyperspace stretched on, a vast emptiness that felt heavier with each passing second. Inside the Ascendant, the crew was on edge. Kara sat at the navigation console, her fingers flying over the controls as she monitored the incoming fleet. Alex stood by the viewport, staring into the swirling colors of hyperspace, his mind consumed with what lay ahead. He could feel the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him. They had just awakened something far more dangerous than they could ever have imagined. The ancient war machines weren't just relics of a forgotten Earth. They were an army, a weapon, and the galaxy had no idea what it was about to face. Captain, we're getting closer to the rendezvous point. Kara's voice broke through his thoughts, but her tone held little reassurance. The fleet is closing in. We'll need to be quick if we're going to make it there without a confrontation. Alex nodded, his jaw clenched. I know. Get us there as fast as you can. The ship's engines hummed softly beneath his feet as the crew prepared for whatever lay ahead. The fear was palpable, but there was no time for hesitation. They had no choice but to face the consequences of their discovery. The galactic fleet was coming, and the war gods of Earth were about to remind the galaxy of humanity's lost power. Suddenly, Kara's voice broke through the tension again. "Incoming transmission, Captain. It's from the galactic fleet. They're demanding an explanation." Alex's stomach churned. The fleet hadn't wasted any time. The news of Earth's long-forgotten weapons had already spread across the stars, and they were coming for answers, and probably more. "Put it through," he said, his voice calm despite the storm raging in his mind. The screen flickered, and once again, Commander Veller's face appeared. His cold, calculating eyes locked onto Alex's, his voice even more chilling than before. "Captain, I trust you understand the gravity of the situation. We've received reports of massive energy surges in your sector. What have you unleashed? The Galactic Council is demanding answers." Alex took a deep breath, his mind racing for the right words. "Commander Veller," he began, choosing his words carefully, "what we uncovered was more than just a weapon. These machines, they were built by humans long before Earth ever made contact with the stars. They've been dormant for centuries, and now they're awakening. The planet you're coming to isn't just a graveyard for old tech. It's a weapon of mass destruction, and if we don't stop it now, it could destroy everything." Veller's eyes narrowed, and Alex could sense the doubt in the commander's gaze. "I'm aware of the situation," Veller replied, his voice colder now. "But we can't afford to risk another war. You've already triggered enough chaos by unearthing these weapons. The galaxy can't allow this to continue. Prepare to be boarded." A knot of dread tightened in Alex's chest. "Commander, I understand your concerns, but you have to believe me. We're not the threat here. The real threat is what we unleashed on that planet. If you don't help us, if you don't give us the resources we need to stop it, the consequences will be far worse than anything humanity could ever do." Veller didn't respond immediately. Instead, he glanced off-screen, as if consulting with someone out of view. When he returned his gaze to Alex, the coldness had softened, just slightly. "You have 5 minutes," he said. "Then we're moving in." The transmission cut off, leaving Alex to absorb the weight of Veller's ultimatum. 5 minutes. It was all they had. But what could they possibly do in that time to convince the galactic fleet to help them? The machines were still out there, somewhere on the planet, and they were waking up, their power growing stronger by the second. "Captain." Kara's voice interrupted his thoughts again. "We're entering the rendezvous sector. I'm detecting multiple ships, all from the galactic fleet. They're in position. If we don't act now, we'll be caught in their crossfire." Alex's mind raced as he considered their options. He looked to his crew, each of them tense and waiting for direction. This was it, the moment of truth. They couldn't afford to make any more mistakes. The fleet was coming, and if they didn't do something, humanity's secrets would be exposed, and the consequences could ripple across the entire galaxy. "We don't have much time," Alex said, his voice steady but urgent. "Prepare for a direct approach. We're going to meet the fleet head-on. Kara, try to establish a direct link with their command. We need to convince them that we're not the enemy." Kara nodded, her fingers flying over the console, attempting to establish a direct channel now. The seconds ticked by, each one feeling heavier than the last. The stars outside the viewport grew brighter as they neared the rendezvous point, and Alex could see the fleet ships on his monitor. A cluster of sleek, imposing vessels, all bristling with weapons. They were ready for war. They had no idea what they were walking into. The comms crackled to life once more. "This is Commander Veller," the cold voice said. "We are prepared to board your ship, Captain. If you do not comply, we will be forced to take action." Alex clenched his fists, the tension in his chest growing unbearable. He had one chance to make them see reason. "Commander Veller," he said, his voice firm, "I understand your concerns, but if you board us now, you will trigger a war that will devastate every civilization in the galaxy. We need your help, not your weapons. These machines, these war gods, they were built for destruction. If we don't stop them, nothing will be safe." There was a long pause before Veller responded. "You have 5 minutes, Captain. We will consider your request. Do not make us regret this decision." The transmission cut off, and the crew exchanged nervous glances. 5 minutes. It was all they had. And in those 5 minutes, the fate of the galaxy would be decided. Alex's mind raced. The war gods of Earth were awakening, and there was no telling what would happen next. Would the galactic fleet stand with them, or would they seal the fate of the galaxy by siding with the machines? The tension in the control room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Every crew member sat in their station, eyes glued to their screens, watching the ships of the galactic fleet position themselves around the Ascendant. The countdown was ticking, and Alex's mind raced as he considered their next move. 5 minutes. That was all they had to prevent a full-scale war, one that could change the course of galactic history. Kara, sitting at the navigation console, kept her fingers steady, though her face betrayed the anxiety she felt. "Captain, the fleet is in position," she reported. "They're scanning our ship for any signs of aggression. We have no choice but to make contact with them directly." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of the decision on his shoulders. "Do it. Put me through to Commander Veller." Moments later, the cold, emotionless face of Commander Veller appeared on the screen. His eyes were sharp, calculating, and for the briefest of moments, Alex saw the tension in the commander's posture. Veller was a man who knew the importance of this moment as much as Alex did. "Captain," Veller's voice came through crisp and clear. "We are prepared to take action. You've already broken enough laws by uncovering these ancient weapons. What makes you think I should listen to you now?" Alex clenched his jaw, but kept his voice steady. "Because if you don't, we will all pay a price. These weapons, these war gods, they were built to destroy. And if they're allowed to wake up completely, they won't just threaten Earth. They will threaten everything. Every planet, every race, including yours." Veller's gaze was hard, as if weighing every word. The silence between them stretched on, uncomfortable and heavy. Alex could see the hesitation in the commander's eyes now. It was clear that Veller understood the gravity of the situation, but there was still doubt. Humanity was still a mystery to the galactic forces, unpredictable and dangerous, in ways they could not comprehend. "I don't believe you," Veller finally said, his voice colder than before. "You say these weapons are from your past, but how can we trust that you won't use them for yourselves? You've shown that you have the power to awaken these machines, and that makes you dangerous. You could easily become a threat far worse than any of us anticipate." Alex didn't flinch. "I'm asking for your help, Commander, not your trust. The weapons are on that planet, and we can't contain them alone. We need your fleet's resources to find a way to shut them down, to stop the machines before they gain full control." The seconds on the countdown continued ticking down, echoing in the heavy silence. Kara's voice interrupted the tension, her words laced with urgency. "Captain, we have incoming signals from the planet's surface. There's activity. Something's moving down there. The war gods. They're waking up faster than we thought." Alex's heart sank. "How fast?" "Very fast," Kara replied, her voice strained. "The energy signatures are off the charts. Whatever's down there, it's fully activated. The fleet has to make a decision. Now." Veller's face remained stoic, but Alex could see the conflict in his eyes. He was weighing the risk, whether to trust humanity and intervene, or to call for the destruction of the Ascendant and anyone aboard. He knew this decision could either save or doom the galaxy. The ships outside were bristling with weapons, ready to fire at a moment's notice. Every second that passed made the tension more unbearable. "Commander," Alex said, desperation creeping into his voice, "if we don't act now, it will be too late. These weapons are not something you can control. The moment we activate them fully, they will become unstoppable. You've seen the power of the war gods, haven't you? We are the only ones who can help you, if you let us. Gaylor stared at him for what felt like an eternity, the weight of the decision pressing on him. Then, finally, he spoke. I will give you one chance, Captain. But understand this, if you fail, I will destroy everything. Do you understand? Alex nodded without hesitation. We understand, Commander. Veller didn't waste another moment. Very well. Prepare your ship. We will provide a team to assist you in the mission. But if you try to betray us, we won't. Alex interrupted. We're in this together now. The transmission ended abruptly, and the crew let out a collective breath they didn't even realize they were holding. For a moment, everything felt like it was on the edge of a knife. But now, at least for the time being, they had a chance. The fleet would help them, but only because the danger was now undeniable. Captain, we're receiving coordinates from the fleet, Kara said, her voice a little less tense now. They're sending us to a nearby station. It's equipped with the technology we need to study the machines and hopefully shut them down. Alex nodded, though his mind was still racing. They had the fleet's support, but that didn't mean they had time to waste. The war gods were rising faster than they could have ever predicted, and the fate of the galaxy was hanging in the balance. Prepare for a course change, Alex ordered, his voice firm. We're heading to the station, and no matter what happens, we'll end this. Together. As the Ascendant shifted course, speeding toward the station, Alex could feel the weight of the situation press down even harder. They were headed toward a battle that would not only determine Earth's future, but the future of the entire galaxy. The war gods were awakening, and soon, the galaxy would remember exactly what humanity was capable of. The next move would decide everything. Would they be the saviors or the destroyers? Only time would tell.